We are 22us Radio. 22us Radio is 22usmedia.com and 88.1 FM KKJZ HD3 Long Beach, Los Angeles.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, and now, our world broadcasting tag team champions of the world and a cruiserweight champion.
I'm Ethan.
I'm James.
I'm Rob.
And this is episode 186 of Beyond the Ropes. We are BTR Pro Wrestling Talk. You can find us on Twitter at RealBTR Radio. You can find me individually at EthanM95. Follow the analyst James Williams at
JHW Reporter.
And you can follow producer Rob Flores at
Rob Flores Media, and don't forget the R-Truth DM for Ethan.
Still missing in action, our truth is. But yeah, it's been a bummer of a week. Earlier this week, we lost Scott Hall, the bad guy himself, Razor Ramon. Obviously a pretty influential individual in the world of pro wrestling and even pop culture. I mean, we talk about the NWO. It's kind of, at the time, they took over the world, and people still wear their NWO shirts all the time, myself included. So, I mean, just to quickly kind of run through what happened over the last couple of weeks. I know he had a hip procedure that needed to be done.
Yeah, it was supposed to be fairly routine, right?
Yeah. Hip surgery, and I believe after the hip surgery, he ended up having 3 heart attacks, kind of back to back, and then basically just put on life support. And then Sunday, I believe it was Sunday night or early Monday morning, Kevin Nash, obviously very close to Scott Hall, tag team partner, basically brothers, as he mentioned it, posted on Instagram a lengthy post. I can share it here. I guess we'll talk about it. Basically, this was a few days ago, 3 days ago. Stating Scott's on life support. Once his family is in place, they will discontinue life support. I'm going to lose the one person on this planet I've spent more of my life with than anyone else. My heart is broken and I am so very sad. I love Scott with all my heart, but now I have to prepare my life. Without him in the present, I've been blessed to have a friend that took me at face value and I him. When we jumped to WCW, we didn't care who liked or hated us. We had each other, and with the smooth Barry Bloom, we changed wrestling both in content and pay for those a lot that disliked us. We were the outsiders, but we had each other. Scott always felt he wasn't worthy of the afterlife. Well, God, please have some gold-plated toothpicks for my brother. My life was enriched with his take on life. He wasn't perfect, but as he always said, the last perfect person to walk the planet, they nailed to a cross. As we prepare for the life without him, just remember, there goes a great guy. You ain't going to see another one like him again. See you down the road, Scott. I couldn't love a human being any more than I do you. He was taken off life support Monday. I believe between 4 to 6 hours, he was still breathing. And then minutes before Monday Night Raw went on the air, which was 5 o'clock Pacific our time, he had passed. And we officially got confirmation when WWE started, and they had actually did the in memoriam pick a photo at the beginning. So I have not seen anything from Cody Hall. I don't follow him, but I can check Instagram really quick and see maybe.
Yeah, while you go ahead and you look up some of that, I know Rob's asking in the chat if Shawn Michaels, Triple H have said something they did. Ethan, if you don't mind looking some of that stuff up as well. Do you have one of those there?
Cody did not post anything on Instagram. I don't know if he posted something on Twitter, but I'm sure obviously they were in great contact with Kevin Nash. I believe they even called him when they were going to take him off life support. So I'm sure they're obviously dealing with the situation. Must be hard. Triple H on Twitter and Instagram simply put, I'm gutted, lost a brother. I love you, Scott. I'll see you down the road. Hashtag buddy system, as well as posting several images of them together. Shawn Michaels, I know, did post simply saying, I love you, my friend, on Twitter. Kept it simple. I know Sean Waltman was kind of posting a bunch of different things over, the day that it happened, sharing some memories and images. And then when when Scott passed, he basically said he's gone. So he's kind of been the most active one on social media. Earlier today, Kevin Nash did post a video of them in New Japan after their second WWE run, coming out to the Fuji song, Ready or Not, which there's a famous, I know a lot of people posted this, Scott Hall coming out on ECW to that song video. So it's a nice little video there. But yeah, so I mean, everyone in the wrestling world basically saddened by this. Obviously, Scott Hall was a catalyst for kind of getting those big contracts, jumping from WWF to WCW.
And I think not even just like big contracts, but guaranteed contracts.
Guaranteed contracts was he wasn't the first person to jump from WWF to WCW, but his jump basically changed the landscape over there, kind of forcing WWE to go into the Attitude Era. It added a sense of realism to professional wrestling. You obviously then had Nash jump over, and then joining with Hulk Hogan, they became the NWO New World Order and changed everything.
Again, I think too, like what makes that move to WCW like that much more meaningful, and what would later become, I mean, sometimes you don't know it at the time, but what would make it become a bigger deal than a Hulk Hogan jumping over, then Macho Man jumping over, and any of those other guys is Scott Hall, then known as Razor Ramon when he was on Raw and in WWE, WWF at the time, was that he was like still maybe considered one of the younger guys, right? And a guy that was in his prime and maybe getting ready to be in the mix for that world title, more or less. I mean, he'd already kind of solidified himself as a top tier Intercontinental Champion, but I think what he has done, and obviously when he did make the move, there was a whole thing with that house show video with the steel cage and how they came out after and the clique all kind of hugged and stuff. But I think too what it was is that there, when he did jump over, and unlike Hogan and all them, is like you weren't sure if he really was jumping over or if he was invading them as Razor Ramon, because he never would really say his name. He didn't really look all that much different, except he was maybe wearing the jean outfit, but I think, or the denim outfit, but I think even then, I think he was probably still wearing some of that even when he was Razor Ramon maybe. But I think, yeah, that's just kind of, there was just a whole lot of what is happening here. And maybe, there was unlike now when you have social media and things, it's hard to keep a secret or know what's what, or know what the long-term story is going to be before it even happens. Before social media, and we had all that information, maybe there was a handful of people who knew that Scott Hall's contract ran out. But then again, even if people did, there were some hotlines and stuff out there, but it's kind of like word was not moving as quickly as it is nowadays. So again, I don't think we'll ever see anything like that. And again, not only does he set that up, leave a teaser for saying, hey, I'm not the only one. You see someone like Kevin Nash join Scott Hall. And then I think, yeah, when they finally join Hogan and he becomes the third man, I think that set them over the top as like, this is something. And it, the NWO was practically was WCW, and in some cases took over WCW, and more people knew what the NWO probably than they even knew that the NWO was just part of a show on Nitro. They probably thought NWO was the show itself, right? So yeah, Scott Hall, big part of that, and big part of what WWE, what wrestling is today. And again, a lot of the younger talent and generation of today that are currently wrestling had nothing but good things to say about Scott, and the fact that He did go through the things that he went through and face the demons that he did, and collabed with Diamond Dallas Page to get back on track. And in some cases, the way he was headed, by the time he did kind of get together with DDP and kind of get back on track and clean and was really turning things around, it was, I've heard some other people say this before, so I'm not saying anything new here, but it was more like a bonus, right? All the years that we got from the moment he linked up with DDP, and they had been friends for a while, but when they made that effort to get Scott Hall clean, I think it was really a bonus, and I think a lot of people were aware of that and cherished that. And we saw him return to WWE, be a part of WrestleMania and that invasion or that interference there with that Sting Triple H match, for example, among other things. And so many backstage photos. Triple H always takes a photo with the NXT champion when they become new NXT champion or win a belt, and he had a moment like that with Kevin Owens, and then you have a photo bomb from Scott Hall in the background there. And I think sometimes you don't understand or are fully aware of the impact that you may have on someone or on an industry or a business. Whether Scott Hall knew that, I don't know, but obviously during a time like this when people are reflecting on the memories and the impact someone had on their life, I mean, you're starting to see a whole lot of that. And it couldn't be any more true, because I mean, I grew up watching Scott Hall and everything that he did in WCW and beyond. So definitely a tough loss, and thankfully he was able to be honored, two-time Hall of Famer, get in as Razor Ramon, and again as a member of the NWO. And I'm sure those are the memories that him and his his best buddies and his family on the road will remember forever, obviously.
Yeah, another post from The Rock. I know he
Mm.
tweeted hoping well wishes for him, but he also posted on Instagram. Pro wrestling just lost a legend in Scott Hall. Scott came from an era of pro wrestling where wrestlers were the biggest and toughest men on the planet. Scott was a big man who was athletically gifted, and inside the ring, he was an extraordinarily talented and intense athlete. Before my match was here with Scott, which he posted a clip of their match, I made sure to tell him how much his in-ring work influenced me. When I was a rookie in wrestling, I would study Scott's matches. His style, intensity, crispness, and excellent in-ring IQ and psychology. I studied his matches frame by frame. He was shocked to hear this from me. We came up in different eras. He knew I was a student of the game, but had no idea he was one of the ones I studied. He thought that was so cool, and we went out there that night. It was my honor, brother, and thank you for the house. Go rest high. So, obviously, even one of the biggest names in the world in general, feeling that impact. A little bit about Razor Ramon. He's right here.
There you go.
Because I know we kind of just got into the NWO stuff. But yeah, he made his debut as Razor Ramon in 1992 in the WWF after I believe he was the Diamond Stud in WCW for a bit.
Hmm.
Really made his name as Razor Ramon, before he became the hot commodity in WCW. He was kind of a hot commodity in WWF.
And then even then, we're like, I guess I barely kind of found this out, but were you aware that even when he, I guess before the Diamond Stud or whatever, that he had tryouts with WWE, WWF at the time, and like didn't get a contract, like walked out of that tryout without contracts, like twice?
I've never heard of that.
I heard that sometime this week as people were reflecting on different memories and different things about his career and stuff. And just, what you know about Vince and all that, and like how he values like size and athleticism and a look, like the Diamond Stud was no different than what Razor Ramon was, maybe outside of the accent, right? Like the hair was still there. I think he was still maybe doing the toothpick thing,
Mhm.
but it's just kind of hard to think. And again, you don't know when these guys are young. I mean, you could say the same thing about anyone on the roster. Like, can you believe the first 7 years of his career, they did nothing with him, and now he's the hottest thing? I mean, that's how wrestling works sometimes. But it's just crazy to think that he had been looked at so many times and nothing. But again, as for so many, like Kane is another example. They get that one gimmick, they get that one push, and they're off to the races. And I think even in Razor Ramon's case, Scott Hall, when he started as Razor Ramon, they had those nice vignettes behind him, and all that. And I think he was maybe more or less after a couple jobber matches thrown right into the mix as a tag team partner for world heavyweight champion Ric Flair and put in that main event scene pretty quickly.
Absolutely, and I think what made the Razor gimmick work, as you mentioned, because he obviously had an accent. He was kind of like a Cuban character, which he's not Cuban, but he made it
Right.
work.
It was kind of based off of what Scarface, and Scarface was
Yeah.
probably a fairly popular movie at the time, and maybe it just come out. So
Right. Well, Scarface was in the 70s, so
oh, was it?
no,
Okay, well there you go.
but he still made it work. Is the
No,
point
for
is.
sure. But that's why it made it relatable. Like it came from something, and if you didn't watch or were aware of the movie, I mean, you don't maybe know where that influence comes from, but even knowing that, you're kind of like, oh wow.
Mm-hmm. I think someone always meant. I kept seeing a bunch of posts on Twitter saying he was just cool. He literally oozed machismo as Razor Ramon did. He didn't. It didn't look like he was trying. He made the gimmick work because it basically was Scott Hall. He seemed like a laid-back kind of guy, a very intelligent guy in the ring, and very knowledgeable according to his peers, which you can see in interviews. He's done before. But yeah, he got a second chance at life, kind of moving forward. With the Diamond Dallas Page stuff, and it's great that we got him for as long as we did. 2-time Hall of Famer, as you mentioned, very influential. One thing that I always think of when I think of Scott Hall is that iconic ladder match. Who doesn't think about that? With Shawn Michaels, where he won the Intercontinental Championship and lifted both those titles up in the air. An iconic image that will live forever. If the Outsiders are going to go in for a third time in the Hall of Fame, I don't know about
probably
that.
not.
They're probably in as the NWO already.
Yeah, I think that kind of covers the base. You know what will stand out the most for me, maybe on a little bit of a lighter note, is if I'm not mistaken, he was the one who did all of us the honors of ending Goldberg's streak and just getting it done with. Just being done with the whole thing. So we don't even have to still talk about it like today. He'd probably still be on a streak for all we know. But thankfully, Scott Hall, thank you.
Yes. But yes, overall.
And his promos are fun to watch. Go back and just watch his promos and in the vignettes, right?
Absolutely. They were great. The one where you want me to clean the table for you, and he just that one. Anyways, we got to hit a commercial break, but quickly before we go, we would not really have our two sweets. I mean, without his influence, he was one of the guys that would do it all the time. So a special two sweet to Scott Hall.
Yes, sir.
Right
beep,
there.
beep.
Rob, get on camera here.
Hurry up, Rob. You have 10 seconds.
There we go.
There you go.
We're going to get a special two sweet
for Scott
Hall
for sure.
Scott Hall. We'll be right back. We are 22S Radio. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 80.1 FM, KKJZ HD3, Long Beach, Los Angeles. Welcome back to episode 186 of Beyond the Road. We are BTR Pro Wrestling Talk. I'm your host, Ethan, joined alongside the analyst James Williams and producer Rob Flores. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Beyond the Ropes. Quickly, I know we kind of ended our segment already, but Rob, did you have anything? I know Razor Scott Hall is one of your favorites. Did you want to say anything on the air really quick, or?
He was one of my favorite characters also for, when they had the PlayStation and the Nintendo 64 games.
Nice. So, I mean, there you go. We've got WrestleMania coming up in a couple of weeks. We got the most stupendous 2-night WrestleMania event, as they're calling it. Using that word stupendous a lot. We've got James isn't here. He had to step out for a second, but I'm going to acknowledge, you're going to see it. I'm acknowledging our tribal chief, Roman Reigns. Throw it up. Throw those ones up right there. So there's that. And then, so he's going to face Brock Lesnar, champion versus champion match. And of course, he's going to be Brock Lesnar. James isn't here to argue that. So if he were here, he could argue, but he's not. So guess what? Roman Reigns is going to go over. There you go. Rob acknowledging his tribal chief. Look at Paul Heyman. He's acknowledging his tribal chief. The Bloodline, without a doubt, the most entertaining thing in wrestling today. Moving on, we've got Ronda Rousey taking on Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. The feud heated up a little bit as they had a backstage brawl that ended SmackDown last week. Fun little segment. Overall, I feel like the Charlotte Ronda feud has kind of been lackluster. I think the backstage segment was without a doubt needed, and hopefully they're able to spice up that feud a little more in the next couple of weeks. We do also have for the Raw Women's Championship, Big Time Bex herself, Becky Lynch, will be defending that championship um, against Bianca Belair. That should be a fun match. I know Becky got her comeuppance, or I guess Bianca got her comeuppance when Becky attacked her this past week on Raw. And then, yeah, I mean, let's get into it. A sponsor for WrestleMania was WWE 2K22. And that's, you mentioned, Rob, here in the chat, Umaga. For the first time in what? Probably like 10 years almost. Umaga will be featured in that video game, or is featured in that video game. I've heard some mostly good things about this video game, which is good to hear. But this is news to me. It is 3/16 day as we're recording this. Stone Cold Steve Austin and Dory Funk Jr. apparently are going to enter the International Wrestling Hall of Fame. This is news to me, Rob. I don't know. You saw this on social media, I'm assuming. But yes, it is 3/16 day. I know Stone Cold is out there promoting his new Broken Skull American Lager beer. I still haven't tried the IPA. I got to try the IPA. But he has the new beverage out now, officially. So we'll try that maybe someday as well. So that should be interesting for sure. Stone Cold and Dory Funk Jr. entering the Wrestling Hall of Fame. That's great news to you. That's news to me. Rob, breaking that news to us over here. As I mentioned, Austin is going to be, he has a new IPA, not the IPA, the American Lager beer out today on 3/16 day. James, how are you celebrating Austin 3/16?
I didn't have any plans at the moment, but I mean, maybe I'll watch some promos, or actually, I may try and see what's available on with the whatever the show's called, Broken Skull Sessions or whatever. But I think he had one with Farouk or Ron Simmons on there that I want to watch. I think he just announced that he's going to be having one with Lita coming up later this month. And I think there's might still be like one other one I have to catch up on, but those are always good. I love those.
Bubba Ray is coming up as well.
I think, yeah, Bubba Ray, I think is one that I think saw on there. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, maybe we'll open a cold one later. I don't think any of us drink.
Maybe an ice cold water.
A nice cold water. Cheers to that here. It's not ice cold, but it's a water. There you go. Anyways, let's talk about Austin real quick before we get into that other big news, unfortunate news. But Austin is going to be at WrestleMania. He's going to be on the KO show, and that almost did not happen because the visionary himself, Seth freaking Rollins, was trying to sneak his way like a menace into that segment. He was trying to take over the KO show and host his own talk show hosting Austin.
I mean, I don't know what are they going to do with him? Like, the fact that these two were kind of in a situation where they're like kind of looking for something to do, considering like who else you have on the card who isn't maybe always there or are always a wrestler.
Cody Rhodes is going to show up. It's happening.
When? And fight who? Seth?
At WrestleMania. It's going to be, Seth is going to be so low that at WrestleMania he's going to disrupt the show. He's going to demand a match because he didn't get a match. And then we're going to have Cody come out.
That's how you think it's going to happen?
If it didn't happen in Jacksonville, it's going to happen in WrestleMania. They were just in Jacksonville this past Monday. Everyone was expecting Cody. All social media cried about it.
Right.
It didn't happen. Why not? A WrestleMania moment. Cody Rhodes returns.
I mean, hey, if they do that, that I think kind of puts Cody in a good position just from the
Yeah.
stamp. Like, I mean, it's like you're not debuting or returning the way that you are to WrestleMania without it being any sort of a big deal, right? So
Mhm.
if he is coming back, I still am kind of maybe up in the air about it, but I don't know, it would be pretty
I'm all
big.
for
But
it.
yeah,
I'm all for it.
I'm curious where the Austin Kevin Owens thing still kind of goes, but
It's gonna be a brawl, I'm sure. It's not gonna be a match. Obviously, they would have said it's gonna be a match.
yeah.
Or, we'll probably just see a stunner, maybe a couple back and forth, but
Hmm.
nothing crazy. But looking forward to that. Happy 316 day to you guys. This will be up
Yep.
later. But hope everyone enjoyed their 316 day. More unfortunate news. I mentioned, obviously, we talked about Scott Hall earlier in the show, but we got some Big E news this past Friday night on SmackDown. He was in a tag team match along with Kofi Kingston, taking on the team of Sheamus and Ridge Holland, and the debut of Butch.
Yeah, we'll get to the Butch thing later. But the Big E thing,
The big thing is the big news, which is
but
unfortunate. He got a like a belly to back suplex, landed right on his head.
mm,
This was from Rich Holland on the outside, and almost immediately you can see Big E was like didn't look like
frozen or
he was able.
stiff.
Yeah, he was pretty stiff, and a little concerned there. I was watching live. I kind of was seeing the reaction, so.
Yeah, because I've never I still really haven't seen the clip
Mhm.
of
It's
the
not a pretty
match
clip.
or huh?
It's not pretty.
No, I would imagine
He
not.
landed
But
right in his head, reminiscent of what we saw like a few weeks ago from Madcap Moss. The whole
mm-hmm.
McIntyre thing where he landed right on his head. I mean, his obviously he's okay, but
Yeah.
Big E, like it looked pretty bad. He gave the thumbs up when he was stretchered out. I never
So
saw the
they did all that on SmackDown, like it was a whole
They did not.
thing.
They did not. They actually ignored it. They
That,
finished the match. They didn't show Big E after.
yeah.
He
No. Well, okay.
he
Well,
was just being
the,
attended. He was just
yeah.
being attended to. They
But
just
the match still went on while they were doing that,
the
and
match
then
finished. He was on the
okay.
outside. He was being attended to. They did mention
Yeah.
that, but that's about it. They didn't
Right.
show him getting stretchered out. That was during the break.
Yeah.
There was a video of it. He gave the thumbs up
Hmm.
from like a fan camera.
Yeah. Okay.
Gave the thumbs up, and that was about it. He did give updates even later after the show. He
Hmm.
gave a neck brace saying, thankfully he can move everything, which is good.
Yeah.
And that unfortunately he does have a broken neck.
Hmm.
The next morning, he got another update stating basically I forget what it was, the C1 or the C6.
He said like 1 and 3 or something. He said he broke
Yeah.
like 2 or did something with the
Fractured
vertebrae
hip,
there.
he fractured them. Thankfully, no spine
No
damage,
surgery.
no
Yeah.
surgery needed. It's basically just going to be a recovery
Hmm.
process, which is good. Which means hopefully, we wish him the best, and hopefully he's able to get back in the ring
Yeah.
sooner rather than later.
I think there's a chance that, I think just with anything, I mean, a broken neck is pretty serious. And, sometimes we think about all the people who did have broken necks and were still able to compete and all that. You think about Stone Cold, Kurt Angle, for example, among others. But, there's still the chance that we might not see Big E in the ring again. But at the same time, I think he's going to work hard and try and make that happen. And hopefully we do kind of get to see him back in action again. Again, he was just coming off of a title run. He kind of already has had some success in his career, obviously, but you would hate to see it cut short, especially when he's like literally in his prime, if not maybe still even maybe a couple years away from his prime, I would think. I'm not sure of his age, but I think just the way he's been spotlighted and whatnot, I think there's still a whole lot left for him. And it'd be interesting to kind of see. Sometimes you wonder, like, is he going to be like this happy new day guy forever? And that's the same for all of them, right? But how does he come back from this? If he does come back, maybe he changes things up. Maybe his wrestling style changes, much like we hear with Stone Cold and the way his wrestling style and the way he went about his matches changed quite a bit. So just some things to consider. But I think at the end of the day, obviously, as you said, the most important thing is that Big E's healthy, he's able to continue with his life after recovery, and I think that's what's most important is that he's doing well in good spirits. And again, much like with the Scott Hall stuff, I mean, everyone was came out and had nothing but good things to say and came forward. And Big E expressed several times in a lot of those update videos how much he appreciated the support and the love that he got. And he said that he definitely felt all of that. So that's what you need, especially when you have someone down that way. You want to rally behind them and show them that love and support. And there was no shortage of that regarding Big E and the situation he has went through.
Absolutely. Sending Big E lots of positivity. I know Xavier Woods visited him like that night. I know Drew McIntyre was there as well. A number of individuals went to go see him, and he even tweeted, I believe, earlier today or yesterday. Let me pull up that tweet really quick. But he did tweet his appreciation. This was 12 hours ago. I used to endure difficult things in my life and felt very alone, but I feel so immeasurably loved and supported. I was not prepared for the sheer volume of DMs, calls, texts, visits, etc. I'll never be able to adequately thank you all. So good for Big E feeling appreciated. Wish him a speedy recovery. So yeah, moving on to some WrestleMania stuff. Back to WrestleMania stuff. Where is this going to leave the New Day? Obviously, we mentioned the debut of Butch, formerly known as Pete Dunne. Can't hear you. I can't hear you.
I don't get it because I was speechless. That's why you couldn't hear me, because I was speechless, Ethan. I just don't like it. Was Pete Dunne. Like, he was young. He was, what is the bruiserweight. He had a good little look on him.
He's
and
great. And they put him in this Peaky Blinders outfit, which is fine. I kind of wore that in the
Yeah.
UK, whatever. It's whatever. But
is that, I guess, because he's from the UK now.
he's from the UK.
So it's not like he's completely out of place, but still, it's just
no. But they definitely.
I mean, I don't expect him to be happy in it, but he doesn't even look happy in the outfit. But I mean, that's probably part of the gimmick.
That's his face. That's
just his face. But still, it's just like
his social media presence is great because every post he's made, he put the dash.
He put like Butch, right? Like he's kind of drilling it home, right?
We can't tell if he's actually enjoying this or not. He probably isn't, but he's going with the flow. Everyone seemingly has to go through this, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't understand the name change. I mean, if they could have
kept just so random.
Like, everyone knew him as Pete Dunne already.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
what? It's not like he's wrestled with everyone in the industry and his gimmick is old. Like, there's not like there was any shortage of that. Like, there was like there was so much more to do. I feel like I feel like he hasn't even had that many matches, to be honest. Like, if you think about all the people he's fought, like
he's been around for a long time, but
he has been around for a while, and he held like that UK title or whatever, North America, whatever one of those titles for like a year and a half.
Yeah,
the UK one, right?
Yeah. So. He was what, 24, 25 at the time?
Mm-hmm.
He had already been wrestling for like 10 years in the UK and stuff. So,
but I think if anything, maybe he can break out of it a little bit and he can get into a feud with the Sheamus and the other guys in that. I think there's some potential to come out of it, but how long until we get to that?
He's associated with them now. They introduced him. They introduced him as saying a nickname. His nickname was Butch. So they're acknowledging that Butch isn't his real name. But like, can we just not call him Pete Dunne? Can you include Pete Dunne in the name if you're gonna keep?
I mean, it's just like, especially early on, it's like Sheamus is Sheamus, and you're not ever gonna change Sheamus.
No, it's his one name. It's simple.
Like, so he's kind of stuck with Butch.
I guess whatever. They made him out to be this guy, kind of out of control guy. He was attacking Kofi after the match. So, I mean, it's not like they're making a joke out of him, at least.
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet, hopefully. But now he is associated with Sheamus and Rich Holland. He is the smallest one out of them all. So I don't know if they're like making him out to be like a scrap scrapper type guy.
A scrappy, yeah.
Almost
Right.
a scrappy, yeah. That's what
I mean, that's what it
thought
kind of looks like,
I
but
kinda thought of that right away when it happened. So we'll
it's just
talk
kind of
more.
hard. It's hard to get past the name, to be honest, for me.
We'll talk more about it as well as other things that happened this past Friday night on SmackDown.
Hmm.
And we'll return right here on episode 186 of Beyond the Ropes. We are 22S Radio. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 88.1 FM, KKJZ HD3, Long Beach, Los Angeles. Welcome back to episode 186 of Beyond the Ropes. We are BTR Pro Wrestling Talk. You can find us on Anchor. You'll listen to our beautiful voices each and every week on there, as well as YouTube. Just search up Beyond the Ropes on YouTube, and you'll see this pretty face. You'll see that pretty face below me, right there. So I don't know. Am I on the bottom of the screen?
No, I'm on the right.
You're on the right side. Okay, and then Rob for me is on. I don't know. I think we're gonna go off Rob's screen, so he's somewhere there hidden. There he is. He's there.
There he
I
is.
don't know which side he's gonna be on, but he's to my left. Other left. Anyways, Sami Zayn. Let's talk about Sami Zayn. I
Yeah,
love.
catch me up on Sammy because I keep seeing the tweets. He's a great follow on Twitter, obviously, and
It's hilarious.
but he
great
looks like a hot
liberator.
mess. I don't know what's going on with these FaceTime calls. Fill me in.
Johnny Knoxville stressed him out. So Sami Zayn got Knoxville's number somehow.
I remember hearing this.
So he was bugging him. He posted the text message thread. Johnny Knoxville said, be careful what you wish for. So this happens Friday afternoon out here in beautiful Los Angeles, California. This was Johnny Knoxville's birthday, by the way. But he paid for a plane to fly Sami Zayn's number out in the Los Angeles sky.
Oop.
Sami Zayn was very unhappy. And then, of course, on SmackDown, they shared this video. And so this number kind of even spread even more. Anyways, by Friday Night SmackDown, by the end of it, Sami Zayn had gotten 12,000 calls and who knows how many text messages. So over the last several days, Sami Zayn has been answering the phone from time to time, including some. There was one with the kid.
There was like some random kid, and I'm like, what is he doing? What is going on?
Leave me alone, kid. There was one earlier today, I think. Sami Zayn was in the bathtub. He's like, stop calling me, please.
Like, just change your number already. So are we getting Johnny Knoxville at WrestleMania?
It's Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn. It's happening.
But Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens can't get a match?
No.
I mean, I just don't get the point of why we're having Johnny Knoxville on anymore. Like, the movie just came out for Royal Rumble. He did the spot. Like, that was it. But now what?
It's the big celebrity thing they've always done,
I mean, yes and no, but
I agree.
Am I going to say I'm going to get WrestleMania because Johnny Knoxville's on?
I'm not going to lie. I'm intrigued. I think they've kept the storyline going pretty well, to be honest.
I thought it was kind of over with, and then all of a sudden it kind of popped back up again. But I mean, maybe there's numbers that show or something that shows that it did pretty well. I don't know.
I'm not saying it's going to be a good match. I mean, it's like the Paul thing again with Miz and the Mysterios too, and we can talk about Miz being in a second.
But that's exactly it. I mean, you have all these spots going to celebrities. I mean, yeah, you have 2 days of WrestleMania, so I get it. But it's like you have Logan Paul, whichever Paul you have.
The commentators wrestling, Austin Theory.
Yeah, Austin Theory and Pat McAfee's, that's a match. And then you also have this Johnny Knoxville match. So it's just kind of like,
I mean,
I get it, but I don't get it.
WrestleMania 1 had Mr. T wrestling in the main event, right?
Yeah, but that was only one, and he was on like the A team or something, and it was Hulk Hogan.
Logan Paul. Logan Paul has been in boxing.
Sure, and so I get it.
He's an athlete.
I would rather have Bad Bunny than any of those guys, to be honest.
I mean, yeah, he's busy. I think he's touring at the moment, but yeah, I'm sure if he were available, he'd probably be down for another match. But that's what we're getting. So let's talk about NXT because NXT is another interesting thing right now happening. Or
Before we do that, can we get into the viewership and the number of people that watched NXT among
I
other
didn't watch
shows this
NXT.
past week?
I haven't
Huh?
watched NXT, but my
I know you have it. So
my DVR probably counts for the viewership.
does it?
It
I don't know
does.
how that works. Maybe.
They do.
Anyways, we'll get into the number of people that did watch NXT here in a minute, and whether or not that does include you, we don't know. But just to start it off, AEW Rampage, 526,000 for their March 11th episode. Not very good. Usually they're around 600,000 or so. So that's kind of on the lower end this week.
Lately, they've been around 500,000. So
yeah, so around 500, 600,000. Dynamite, 945,000 for their March 9th episode. They usually, I think the last couple of weeks, if I remember correctly, they've been hitting that 1 million mark.
So yeah, it goes up and down. It fluctuates.
It goes up and down. So they're not too far away. It happens, but meh. And then you also had NXT, as we mentioned a minute ago. Their March 8th episode had 613,000. Raw was. You're saying that, yeah, that was up, I believe, from some of the numbers they've been having. Raw was almost 1.8 million for their March 7th show, and then you had 2.2 million for the March 11th episode of SmackDown, which obviously features Roman Reigns and etc.
Roman Reigns was not on SmackDown this past week.
Okay, and maybe that just goes to show you that the number is still going to be high regardless.
Well, people were expecting to see Roman Reigns, but he said, I ain't showing up to the no-name town. I don't blame him. I would have been upset, honest. I'm still not over the fact that he didn't show up at LA. But you know what? I'm glad I didn't go because I would have been upset. So.
And just a heads up, and then especially obviously going forward, this may impact AEW more so than anything else, but there have been some conference basketball tournaments going on, the Big West, the Big East, the Pac-12, et cetera, et cetera. They had the conference tournaments for men's and women's basketball over the last couple of weeks. So maybe that has to impact the numbers here. But again, you're going to have the NCAA tournament, which is going to feature a lot of these college basketball teams over the next month, I think even into the first week of next month. And I believe some of these games air on TBS, TNT. So that may impact what we see with AEW and their programming. I don't know that for sure. I know baseball is coming up. I think baseball pops up on TBS sometimes, but we'll see what happens with that. Obviously, WWE just went through some of this with some of the stuff that they had going on with the Olympics and etc. But I think, yeah, was it the Olympics? It was something. Yeah. But yeah, so we'll see how AEW responds to this. And that's just something to keep a note of. I'm not entirely sure how that will impact what they're doing as far as TV programming, but something to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Tony Khan can't use the Briscoe brothers from Ring of Honor because I think a network representative doesn't want them for over a couple tweets they posted like 10 years ago. Which,
interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting news there. Getting back to my favorite show that I never watch.
Yeah, exactly.
NXT, featuring the hottest megastar in sports entertainment. Say it with me, James.
LA Knight. What do you say? Oh, yeah? Or yeah? Is it just yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, say it very obnoxiously. Just yell it out. Yeah. He came out. I think he wanted a championship match, didn't he? He got a championship match.
I don't think he got a championship. What championship are you talking about?
The NXT championship.
No, I don't think so.
He lost. I'm pretty sure.
My understanding is they had a rematch between Braun Breaker and Ziggler.
No, they didn't.
That's the tweets that I saw.
You're seeing things that they're having a rematch. NXT Stand and Deliver.
Let me look it up.
LA Knight interrupted. By the way, The Miz showed up, the most must-see WWE superstar in history, had a special NXT 2.0 edition of Miz TV, hosting the new NXT champion Dolph Ziggler and, of course, Robert Roode. There you go. LA Knight interrupted, and I believe he challenged Dolph Ziggler to a championship match. Ziggler ended up retaining.
Okay.
it is. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
So Ziggler, Ziggler and Braun Breaker at Stand and Deliver.
Which is also going to be a WWE. Say it with me, James.
Premium live event. But yeah, I okay, still champion. He did have a match with the LA Knight. I stand corrected.
Yeah.
You were right and I was wrong. And
That's
it does
not
look
right.
like Ziggler did come out on top, but I think that's good for Ziggler, not only winning the title in that triple threat, but coming out the next week, defending that title against another prominent guy there in NXT in LA Knight. So it's not like he's ducking any sort of challenges there. And again, we just talked about they have Stand and Deliver, and that match has already been made between Ziggler and not LA Knight, but Braun Breaker. I think Braun Breaker gets back on track and wins the title there. Did you have anything else on that before we move into some other NXT things that I found interesting?
I mean, I think we're going to mention probably the same things, but go ahead.
Well, I've just found it interesting that Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio popped up on NXT, and it looks like they got into a little something with El Fantasma.
Legado del Fantasma.
Them, yeah.
Those boys. They had, I think they had a tag match, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
I saw it look like Dominic.
He frog splashed one of them. I believe they had a match.
Yeah, I'm trying to see who the match was.
But,
well, it looks like Escobar went one-on-one with my good
Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes went straight to the moon and came back crashing down. Ever since 2.0. He has not been doing well since 2.0 started. It's not good. Not looking good for him. But Escobar is now going to be challenging Carmelo Hayes for the NXT North American Championship at Stand and Deliver. Another match that's happening at Stand and Deliver, triple threat match for the tag team titles. Imperium is defending those tag titles against the Diamond Mines, the Creed brothers, and MSK. So that's happening, as well as the NXT Women's Championship. Mandy Rose will defend against Cora Jade. Apparently, Cora Jade's been pulling some Home Alone tricks on the most beautiful faction in all of WWE. Oh, Chef's Kiss. Have you seen them? They look great. Beautiful.
They look great. There's no doubt about it. But is she ever going to wrestle? I don't know.
She just had a match, I'm sure.
I'm sure. You don't even know. You don't even know. You just assume she's like this defending champion, like she does things.
Wrestle. She's
all I've seen her ever do there is just stand there.
She looks great doing it. That's all she needs to do.
But
beautiful.
Outside of that, there was something. Oh,
Mandy Rose.
No. Something else for me is I'm still a little confused on the whole Dominic, Dexter Loomis, and what is the girl's name?
Indy Hartwell. Index, as they're known as well as Persia Parada, I believe her tag team partner is, and Duke Hudson, who is now involved. So they're still married, Indy and Dexter.
Yeah, I have to keep checking Twitter to make sure that it's still a thing. And I think Indy Hartwell's actually like been tweeting more about Dexter. I feel like they weren't for a while, and I'm like, where are they going with this? But it looks like it's still on.
For a while, it seemed like they were just focusing on Indy and Persia as a tag team, especially with Johnny Gargano gone, Austin Theory now on Raw, and of course Candice LeRae having a child. So Indy's kind of been doing her own thing. They kind of moved Dexter Loomis away from that, it seemed. But in recent weeks, I think they've been bringing him back. Persia and Indy have kind of had this tension between them. And I believe Persia has now been interested in Duke Hudson, who his last feud was with your boy Cameron Grimes.
Is this they've been doing like these locker room kissing scenes and all this?
Yeah, they've been doing the stuff. And so I've been seeing on Twitter yesterday.
There's been a lot of kissing going on.
They were both. All four of them were in the ring, in the middle of the ring. I believe Indy ripped off Dexter Loomis's shirt.
I saw something about that. Yeah.
So I mean, there's just. But it must be the show to watch because.
But then you even got like Tamina and Tamina and Kazawa on the
Kazawa.
main roster. But then I'm also seeing there was this like TV segment or this like talk show segment between who's that one girl?
Oh, Lash Legend and Nikita Lyons.
Yeah, and they were talking like it was kind of crazy, and that was
I
like
need to
some
watch
attitude era
2.0.
stuff.
I need to watch 2.0 because every time I hear something on Twitter, they're saying, "Is this show PG still or what?"
No, honestly, like I was watching the segment and I thought this was like AEW or something, like or not even AEW, like Impact or like I don't know. I was watching it, I'm like, this has NXT on it. Like I was kind of confused, but it seemed like it's kind of getting edgy. Like it's going that way.
Booker of the Year, Shawn Michaels. I don't know what he's
I
doing.
saw that. I saw that. He was named. And that was by the Pro Wrestling Torch, right? I think I did see that. I had that in my notes.
I retweeted it. I don't know if it was legit or not. Is it real?
I kind of wasn't sure either. I mean, I don't think WWE will ever really acknowledge that because they don't want to give Dave Meltzer the torch that much. Stuff, but
it was interesting.
I mean that much of a spotlight, but I mean, hey, yeah, that works for them. It looks like the Creed brothers are doing some things with MSK, and then Tony D'Angelo and Ciampa look like they might be getting into a little bit of a feud there. I think they're trying to push Tony D'Angelo up there a little bit, right?
I believe he sent. No, it was Carmelo Hayes who said he sent Pete Dunne packing and had his name changed.
And the Carmelo Hayes thing is that's a ladder match, right? I think Phantasma.
You know what?
Escobar beat Grimes to get into a ladder match.
Yeah, it was a ladder match. Sorry, it was a multi-person ladder match. Mm-hmm. But yes, Escobar qualified.
Which again would be right up Shawn Michaels' alley, as we mentioned earlier. Shawn Michaels had that match with Razor Ramon for the Intercontinental titles, and I believe this is maybe at least the second multi-man ladder match they've had. I think just for the North American title, if I'm not mistaken.
Multi-person, yeah, they had one.
I feel like it wasn't that long ago. I mean, they haven't had that many takeovers recently. I think
it was within the last 2 years. I know
I think Carmelo Hayes was in it, or maybe that was Velveteen Dream or something. Someone.
It was a dream. Okay. But last year, I remember they had the cruiserweight unification one with Escobar and Jordan Devlin.
That's right. That was another one. Yes,
that was at Stand and Deliver last year. But
we've never seen that Devlin fella since, right?
He's still in the UK. He's still UK over
So we haven't seen him.
No, we have not seen him. But we got.
Just be honest, we haven't seen him.
A-Kid showed up. A-Kid, who was Heritage Cup champion. He showed up on NXT, so he's there now. So lots of things going on. We're almost out of time here, but really quick, I mean, we got WrestleMania coming up very soon. We're going to give predictions on that. We might have to give them next episode if we're not careful. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see the timing thing. But interesting stuff over there in NXT 2.0 land. Go ahead.
Real quick, wanted to shout out Sharmell, if we haven't already. Queen Sharmell, Booker T's wife, getting into the Hall of Fame. She's the latest to be inducted. She'll be joining Vader and The Undertaker in what is already shaping up to be a pretty solid class here. And
be inducted by her husband.
Go ahead.
She'll be inducted by Booker T as well.
I was gonna say probably being inducted by Booker T. So definitely like that. A little bit of a surprise. Some people maybe were doubting the credentials, but she's been around for some time, even before what she was doing on WWE. She was in WCW, I think. She might have been like the Macho Man's manager, if I remember that correctly, something like that.
WCW, yeah.
But yeah, so I think it's well deserved. Sure, maybe there could have been some other people that were put ahead of her, maybe, but everything happens for a reason, and things are the way they are sometimes when it comes to the WWE Hall of Fame. But I don't think it's a horrible pick, and good for her. I'm happy to see her kind of get in there and get honored that way.
Absolutely. That's going to do it for us this week. But until next time, this episode of Beyond the Ropes has been absolutely too sweet.
Too sweet.